Hi, this is Jan with IQRF, and in this video we will explain the difference between an IQRF interoperable device and a non-certified device. We'll show you where to find the certification process information and how the hardware profile ID is related to certification. First of all, decide if you plan to manufacture an IQRF interoperable product that can be easily integrated into the IQRF interoperable networks, or you manufacture a custom product tailored to special requirements. An advantage of certified devices is that you communicate with them in a standardized manner, and the responses provided by the device come in a standardized format. Thus, such a device can be easily added to a network consisting of certified devices, and it's easy to communicate with. On the other hand, some devices are so specific and they are not usually intended to be combined with other IQRF interoperable devices. Message format must be then precisely described by the manufacturer to make the communication clear. IQRF standards specification can be found on the IQRF Alliance website in the Communication section IQRF Interoperability. You will find specifications of the standard IQRF sensor device, the IQRF Lite device, the IQRF binary output device, and IQRF DALI device. New standards will be added as needed. If you decide to develop your device according to any IQRF standard, it will be very simple to certify it for an IQRF interoperability. The process of IQRF interoperability certification will be covered in more detail in the video number 9. Hardware Profile ID uniquely specifies the functionality of the device like user peripherals, an implemented FRC, the behavior of a device, and so on. Hardware Profile ID as a mandatory part of the DPA request message can be also used to ensure that only certain devices execute DPA request. Unique hardware profile ID values are allocated by the IQRF Alliance primarily for standard and certified devices in order to maintain its uniqueness. For non-certified products, such as examples and development, you can use the user hardware profile ID of the format ended with F. The hardware profile ID consisting of Fs specified in the DPA request matches any device. Based on the type of your device, you have selected the user hardware profile ID, or the IQRF Alliance had assigned the hardware profile ID to you, and now you are in a phase when you implement the hardware profile ID into your source code. You learned more about custom DPA handlers in the third video tutorial, Software and Settings of IQRF Transceivers. If you create an IQRF interoperable device, don't forget to implement the fast response command if required in the appropriate IQRF standard, for example in the IQRF standard for sensors, lights, or DALI. The fast response command is much more efficient in the mass data acquisition compared to individual one-by-one data polling. You learned more about the fast response command in the previous video tutorial. Even if your device works with quantities that are not standardized, it's possible to translate these quantities in higher layers using an IQRF repository driver to a readable form and work with the data as if they were standardized. It will be shown in later videos. If the device is prepared according to the IQRF standard and it works only with standard quantities, you do not need to write any driver. An example of a driver for DDC SE device can be found in the IQRF repository or on the DPA documentation page. The driver is then stored in the IQRF repository, usually executed in the IQRF gateway. If your device electronics has its own microcontroller, then you can move most of the functionality from the custom DPA handler into your micro. In this case, custom DPA handler works as a bridge that passes events to your micro and receives appropriate responses. The advantage of this solution is that you can work in your favorite development environment and effectively utilize your hardware resources. There are prepared examples of the custom DPA handler bridges for UART and SPI interfaces. You learned why to consider whether or not to certify the device for IQRF interoperability and what the current IQRF standards are. You also learned which hardware profile IDs you can work with, how they relate to a device certification, and how to integrate hardware profile IDs to the custom DPA handler. In case you work with special quantities which are not standardized, you need to write a driver which will enable to work with such quantities as if they were standardized. You also learned about custom DPA handler bridge. In the next video, we'll show you what aspects you should consider when starting out with your device development, especially the construction of the device and positioning of parts that have a major impact on the radio range. To learn more about the technology, you can browse the IQRF.org or watch other IQRF videos, or find already existing projects on the IQRFalliance.org. Make your products wireless. It's simple.